Ryan with Fielding Tree Care. I'm one of our certified arborists on staff, and I'm actually the manager of the plant healthcare department as well. And today I'd like to talk to you about one of our tree injection systems um, that we use pretty heavily. It's called the Arborjet Quik-Jet Air, and we've had this unit for about 2 years now. It's one of a variety of ways you can use to inject pesticides for pest protection into trees. And today I just want to go through the system and do a little bit of a demo for you. So this is what's called a micro injection system, meaning that the concentration of chemical that we apply is very high, but it's in low volumes. Um, Typically, we will not mix with water. It really depends on the labeling. For the purposes of today's demonstration, I've mixed a little blue marking dye with some water, not actually using any pesticides for this. But it's a pressurized system. This system runs at between 70 and 80 psi is usually optimal. We've got our little pressure gauge here and our on and off valve here. Um, and it connects to our chemical bottle, which again, in this case, is just blue marking dye and water. And we've got a little air tank here, which we actually take these to a scuba shop to get filled, and as well as go through some regular certifications and annual inspections. Um, and then this whole system connects to this fancy little piece here, which basically allows you to set the volume of chemical that you're injecting into the tree, and a little on-off valve here. And it connects to this needle part, which is called the Viper needle. And you can see there's a little bit dripping out there because I was kind of adjusting it. But yeah, and essentially the pressure system here uptakes the chemical and shoots it through, loads it into this little chamber, shoots it through, and injects it into the tree. So that's kind of the fundamentals of the system here. It also uses a series of little plugs. So we have these little black plugs here you can see, and it's very small, but there's actually a rubber membrane in the interior side of these plugs. And the needle portion goes through the membrane and into the hole in the tree that we drilled. And I've actually pre-drilled a couple of holes here and set the plugs already. So you can see we have a nice section of maple that we removed here. You can see there's a hole, and down in that hole there's a little black plug. Same thing goes with this ash tree. We've got our hole here that I drilled, as well as the plug that's in there. I don't want to get too much into the weeds with plug setting, but one of the biggest cruxes of using this system is proper setting of the plug. You want it basically just at the cambium layer, which is that actively dividing cell layer, because the idea is that when the tree responds to that wound, it's going to seal over top of that plug. If the plug is set too deeply, basically the chemical you're injecting isn't going to go to the correct location in the trunk wood, and it might just be sitting in the trunk and it won't translocate to the rest of the canopy very well. If you set it too shallowly, that can actually inhibit the wound closure when you're drilling. So a big focus of the training on this system is really getting a handle on plug setting. One of the tools that we use to set plugs is just this little modified screwdriver looking thing and a small hammer here. And essentially we set it on top of the plug and hammer it into the proper depth. All right, so now I'm going to actually demonstrate this system using a section of an ash tree here that we recently removed. So you can see this little black plug here, and I'm basically just going to slip this needle through the membrane in that plug, and you should actually be able to see a little bit of that product kind of come out the top of the cut surface here, which would represent what it's doing in the tree. The product is being pushed up through that wood tissue into the interior of the tree. Nice. So that's the basis of the trunk injection system that we use. Again, it's called the Arborjet Quik-Jet Air. goes pretty quickly, even if conditions aren't necessarily ideal for trunk injection. But one other thing that I wanted to mention too is that on the examples that I have here, the holes and plugs are set usually much higher than you typically would. We would typically try and shoot for the lower 12 to 18 inches of the trunk, and the flare roots being kind of the best location. There's actually a higher concentration of conductive cells in there that will distribute that product a little bit better into the canopy. So this is just for demonstration purposes, so we can get it real close to that cut surface, so you can easily see how that chemical gets pushed into the wood tissue and kind of starting to distribute it up. Now, certainly the system here does not do all the work. The tree actually does the vast majority. Um, the slight pressure in the system is really just designed to allow us to kind of be more efficient. If we wholly relied on the uh, evapotranspirative forces in the tree, the injections could potentially take a very long time, again, depending on the conditions. So that little bit of pressure that kind of pushes it into the wood tissue speeds up the whole process. But it's really one of the best ways to inject pesticides into trees with the least environmental exposure. Um, and yeah, it works very well. Again, we do these treatments for ash trees in the springtime to protect them against the emerald ash borer, and it's incredibly effective. And thanks for watching, and remember to follow and like us on social media.